Today I want to tell you about a dog. You get this dog and you love it, and everybody in the household just goes around this thing and just loves it and puts so much attention on it. And it's sweet at first. Everything you hoped it would be. This dog's growing up just the way you dreamed and had planned for, but somewhere along the way it starts to change and it starts to snap. Not always. It's just enough to where you're starting to watch this dog out of the corner of your eyes, and the kids kind of get quiet around. You kind of get quiet and start wondering about it. But you love this dog. You've had this dog a while. So you get all the training guides, you get the gadgets, you get everything you can. You read up on how you can train this dog. And for a while, it really works. All those little gadgets, all the little tricks, all the treats, they start working. The dog calms down. You and your family breathe again. And you tell yourself, we made it through that. Man, that was awesome. That really helped. And then one day, it snaps again. I'm going to tell you about the day I found out the dog wasn't fixed. And I'm going to tell you what I became because of it. This is Reclaiming Your Identity podcast, and I'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Reclaiming Your Identity, a podcast dedicated to providing hope, healing, and support for married individuals whose spouses are battling addiction. Rooted in the truth of your identity in Christ, this podcast offers practical guidance and biblical insight to help you navigate the challenges of addiction within your marriage. Here we'll find encouragement and embrace God's plan for restoration in your life. Let's walk this journey together, one step at a time. We moved from St. Louis, Missouri to Columbus, Ohio, right after her outpatient treatment. You see, I found out that she was addicted to pain medication, all different kinds. She was doctor shopping around to a bunch of different doctors, and I confronted her, and there was a fight at first, and there was denial and the anger, and it was chaos. And I left for about a week, stayed in a hotel, but she agreed to go to outpatient, and she came back, and we tried to move forward with life. And it was really good for a little bit, and I had an opportunity to move to Columbus, Ohio, for a business I had at the time, and we thought we would go ahead and start over and start fresh. But if I'm honest with you, there was a second reason underneath it. It wasn't just the business. You see, I figured a new city meant she wouldn't be able to doctor shop. I figured a new city meant that she wouldn't have her contacts anymore. No history. No pharmacies to visit. Nothing. I figured her connections were gone, and I thought, man, moving out of this state will change the problem. Her treatment helped her, and now we can move forward. And there was a stretch that it actually worked. It looked like it was going to work. We were doing good. We were building something new. I was doing great in this new business adventure, and I let myself believe that we made it through. I really thought that I fixed it. Then I had appendicitis. I ended up going to the hospital, having emergency surgery. Everything went fine, and I came home. And I was healing from that. And I ended up going back to a doctor visit, a follow-up, and I walked into the office and checked myself in and said I was doing fine and great, and then went back, and the doctor came in. He checked me over, said everything looked great. He said I needed to heal a little bit more. And then he asked me a question. He said, do you need more pain medication? And I said, no, not really. I said, I didn't take the ones you gave me because I don't like the way they make me feel. I never have. And I only took them in extreme situations, but I didn't need it. I just relaxed and took Tylenol, and everything was fine. I don't need them. And then he told me my wife called the office, said I lost my script, said it was thrown away by accident. And she asked if she can get another filled. This is Reclaiming Your Identity podcast, a podcast for spouses and partners navigating somebody else's chaos, trying to find themselves again in the middle of all of it, trying to break that cycle. And I'm going to get back to the story. But first, if this is your first time here, I want to welcome you here. And if you guys would you please like, subscribe, and just comment on anything. It helps me out. It helps the show reach other people. And new shows drop every Tuesday and Friday, and I just don't want you to miss the next one. So would you please subscribe and just follow me on whatever platform that you're on. And please stay with me till the end of the podcast because I want to get something in your hands today, something free that can help you break free, break the cycle, and start learning about why you're so stuck. I want to get that in your hands today, so please stay till the end, and I'll get that information to you. But right now, let's go back to the story. So I sat there frozen for a second. It felt like an hour. I didn't know how to respond. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. I just said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I want you to sit in that for a moment with me for a second. Because I think some of you know exactly what that feeling's like. That shame. Not just at her, at myself. For standing in that office, finding out secondhand that my name was used on a form. The embarrassment, like the doctor could see straight through me. It was so much shame. It was so embarrassing. The whole thing just went straight through me. And then underneath all that shame, there was so much anger. Real anger. I'm talking about the kind that doesn't have anywhere safe to go. I realized that's the moment the dog started snapping again. So I went home and confronted her. Nicely. Not in a violent rage that you think you would want to do. But it was in there. Believe me, it was in there. And if I could be honest with you, I really believed right up until the doctor visit that this addiction was behind us. I thought it was over. I really did. We moved. We started over. We had a good stretch. I had let myself believe that I trained her, that it was good. So this time she denied it again at first, and then we prayed over it, and we tried to move forward once again. But as the story goes, she ended up finding another doctor, found another pharmacy, and started down that road once again. That was the day I really stopped believing the dog was fixed. Unfortunately, here's the part I didn't see clearly until way later on in life. I didn't just find out the dog really wasn't fixed, but I found out I became the trainer. And I'm sure a lot of you are like this, but from that point on, every decision ran through one filter. How do I manage this better? How do I fix this better? How do I control this better? What doctors does she have access to? What do I need to watch for? Let me check receipts. Let me check bank statements. Let me check all this stuff. How do I keep it contained to keep my kids safe? How do I keep the house functioning? How do I keep training the danger back down whenever it resurfaced? How was I going to do all this? It went through all that filter. And I want to be really clear about something right now. Because I know that this story can get all twisted and I don't want it to get there, but this is not a message about leaving somebody. This was never a show about leaving your spouse. And it's not what the show today is about either. I just want to make that clear. This is something underneath the question entirely. Because the question I never let myself ask wasn't, should I stay or should I go? Who am I if the danger keeps coming back? I had quietly become the trainer. Not her husband first, the trainer first. And the trainer was the whole identity I built around managing the threat. And that means as long as I was the trainer, some part of me needed the threat to still be there to manage, or I didn't know who I was anymore. I kind of liked when she snapped because then that means I can go fix something. I can train her. I can get her back into submission. That's the role that we take. And that's what we start thinking when we're entangled in this kind of chaos. Can I take you to the Bible for a moment? Proverbs 27:12 says this: "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." Let me break this down a little bit. It's not a verse about leaving somebody. It's a verse about seeing clearly in front of you. The prudent person isn't praised for walking away from the relationship. They're praised for seeing danger honestly and taking refuge, which might mean a boundary, might mean a hard conversation, might be separating, might be finally telling the truth to somebody instead of hiding it and manage it all alone. It can take on so many different things. What gets punished in that verse isn't the lack of love that you have. It's refusing to see the pattern for what it actually is. Over and over and over, you go through this pattern, calling it hope instead of what it really is, danger. I kept going. Way past the moment I already knew. Not because I lacked faith, but because I built my entire identity around being the one who could train the danger back into submission. And admitting the training wasn't working felt like admitting I didn't know who I was anymore. So if I honestly believed and said out loud that the training's not working, who was I? Because my whole identity was now built on being a partner of an addict and fixing the addict. So my question, who are you underneath the training? If you're a trainer right now, if your whole day runs through the filter of managing, watching, containing, sneaking, trying to figure it all out, I want you to hear this. The role was never who you actually are. And that brings me to a good point today. The Walk Right method. The Walk Right method is everything that's in the Walk Right community. And this is exactly why it's here. For people that are walking what I'm just describing, for people that are going through the hell of not being able to break this cycle and they can't figure out why. Step one is Walk Right. It's getting you out of crisis survival mode. If you're still stuck in the thick of it, like I just talked about, still managing in chaos day to day, this is where you start. It's not about fixing them. It's not about managing them. It's not about trying to get rid of the addiction. It's nothing to do with them. It's about you healing, identifying what you have and being able to set that down and start gaining clarity to move forward. And then you move into step two, which is identity. This is where you move from knowing who you are in Christ to actually living from that space. It's not a Sunday phrase anymore. This is an operating system of your well-being. It's the longest phase because it's the deepest work. It is real work. And it usually takes about 6 months. Then step three is renewal. It's a real lasting change, not behavior management, not white knuckling your way through some kind of program. It's root level transformation that gets inside of you. God comes in and just transform you. Whether or not anything outside of you changes, whether the addiction stops, whether the person changes or not, or continues to go down that road, it doesn't matter. You are now transformed. And wherever you are today, in the crisis, the identity work, or further down the road in renewal, there's a next step waiting for you inside the community. You don't have to walk this alone. You're not the trainer. You never were. You just thought you were. You're chosen, you're secure, you're being made new, independent of whether the danger in your house gets managed today or not. Your identity was never supposed to be built on your ability to keep something dangerous contained. That's not who you are. That's not your job. And it is a job. It's so exhausting to live in that. I lived it for 13 years. It's exhausting. You have to start seeing the pattern clearly, really seeing it, the way that I finally saw it, standing in that doctor's office. It isn't betrayal. It's exactly what Proverbs 27:12 calls it, prudent. It just took me a little bit longer to really believe it. So you may have a dog in your house right now, and it may be snapping. Maybe that dog needs to go to a professional because it wasn't your job to become the trainer. You've been the trainer in your house, managing, watching, containing, hoping this time the dog goes into submission. And I want you to know you're not alone. You're not alone in the mess that you're in right now. You're not alone in what it is you're trying to do. And you're also never were supposed to carry this all alone anyway. I want to thank you for listening to this episode today. And I hope it really hits home, and I hope it affects somebody to want to make a change. Again, I'd like to invite you to partnersofaddicts.com. There, you're going to find access to the community. You're going to find out what it's all about. I have a couple of courses you could take. If you're not ready to jump into community, there's a couple of courses that you can take right now. One is a really quick, short course that helps you identify what you're going through. And the other one is actually a weekend course where you really deep dive into finding out who you really are underneath all of this. They're both available there at partnersofaddicts.com. And as I said at the beginning, I've got some free resources for you. There are 3 guides on that website that can really help you today. One is the 10 untold truths that I wish somebody would have told me while I was partnered with this addict. It's the 10 things that can really help you today. The other one is Navigating Love, which talks about why you're stuck, why you can't break the cycle. Talks about codependency, has an evaluation in there for you. You should really check that out. And then the third one is if you have kids, it's what your kids are absorbing and what they're seeing. And it's a really impactful guide that can help you wake up to realize that you're not keeping any of this from your kids and what it's actually doing to destroy your kids. That's all there. Again, partnersofaddicts.com. And you can join our email list. And that way I can get a newsletter to you and just give you some devotionals every once in a while and just stay connected. And I'd really like to have you as part of the Walk Right community. If you would, please, just again, maybe you know somebody that can listen to this episode and relate. Send it to them. Invite them here. We'd love to have them. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. And the next show you don't want to miss, because I'm going to talk about the prodigal son. It's a great story, my favorite story in the whole Bible. And we're going to relate it to what we're going through right now, which is a different twist, but it's going to be impactful and you're going to love it. So that episode will be dropping next Tuesday, so make sure to join in next Tuesday. And remember, as always, you're loved, you're holy. I'm going to see you in the next episode. God bless.